Hello racers! Welcome back, and in today's video we will be talking about the Lawless time leaders. We are going to make a tier list and we try to explain what we think of the new leaders, which one will be the top tier ones, which will be the competitive ones, which will be like the middle of the pack but can win a PQ, and which you should avoid playing even if you like the character. Okay, so let's go straight into it. So let's start with Gerrera. What do you think, Sip, about him?
Gerrera is like a little bit of an interesting case, and this will be also probably with Beckett. So like those leaders that don't have heroic nor villainy aspect. And at the first glance, they both seem pretty terrible, just because like losing that one aspect is a huge deal. But it's still okay even after you lose that aspect. Like it's not as big of a deal as it seemed at the first glance, and the ability is pretty strong. Like the main feature that makes Gerrera solid is his ability to like deal a lot of damage in just one action. So you can like attack with Gerrera, attack with another unit, and like that presents so much damage, especially if you like add a pump spell on top of that. So like an aggressive negotiations or something like that. When you play that on like that can put so much pressure on the opponent and like put the opponent in lethal range where they have like to claim or like play in an awkward way just to not allow you to close the game with him right away. But yeah, still like the fact that he doesn't have like the heroic or villainy is still like a little bit of an issue. So probably around the B tier.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I would put him.
yeah, I actually agree. When I first started playing him, like when I saw him for the first time, I would put him probably here. Then I started playing him, and it was like going up and up. And it was to the point that I thought that he might be actually a playable good leader. But then there was one thing that I think pushes him down a lot, and it's the fact that it's also a leader that it's really easy to play against, because he will not really surprise you with anything. If you clear all his units, it's really hard for him to push damage. And since he deploys on 6, it's kinda easy to stabilize the board for every leader that deploys before him. So for me, he will be a B tier leader. And as for the lacking of heroic and villainous, it's a little bit better than it was last set. Like DJ was unplayable last set, but because of the double aspect cards we got this set, there is actually a possibility to build a quite okay deck in three colors and don't really miss like those powerful heroic slash villainous cards as much. So yeah, so I think B tier is a perfect place for him. And next we have Agent Kallus, and this is a leader that a lot of people when they first saw him, like this will be the control leader. It's a powerful ability for control. He heals, he can play almost anything in his deck, uh, and it only costs him one more. But this is also the problem. He can play everything, but it still is overcosted. Uh, and even though he can heal, it's not as easy to stabilize. The removal is kinda bad. And also the top end, even if you have access to all the colors, top end is not great at the moment. So for me, he is like a B/C tier leader, and I'm even more like lean to the C tier power level.
Yeah, I also feel like it's more of a C tier leader. Like him and Aura are a little bit of an interesting case because they're probably both like kind of control type of leader, which are kind of hard to judge at the start of the set. Like we have some experience with like all like at least most of the leaders, so we kind of know like how they function. But control leaders are always the hardest to build, so it's kind of hard to say how good they will be in like 2 months or so once the meta is more stabilized. But yeah, I don't feel like there are enough cards that are like worth being played out of aspect with Kallus ability. So there is that, and it allows you to play like other cards, but like he doesn't have anything that impacts board. Like he doesn't like his ability doesn't impact the board. Like sure you get some healing and play you get to play the out of aspect cards, but most of the out of aspect cards are gonna be on like similar power level to what you can already find in your aspects. Like there are gonna be some things that you cannot play, but I don't feel like that will be enough to make him good.
Yeah, yeah. I also agree on that. I think the payoff for playing off aspect card is decent, but not good enough to build a whole deck around it. So, what do you think about Aura?
Like between her and Kallus, I think she's definitely better. Like I think her like ability makes her just so much better when it comes to like this control type of playstyle. Um, there is enough removal to make a very heavy control oriented deck. The problem is that the quality of that removal is like so. Like it is not like a terrible removal, but there are some strolls, some okay options, and there are even like ways to build her like not as necessarily like a hard control like boss blue, Vader blue, like were in the past, and a little bit more unit oriented. I've seen also some attempts to like play her with Force. I don't know if I like that, to be fair, just because yeah, there's Thousand also, which does kind of the same. Um, but yeah, I think she's okay. And again, I can see a world where she like becomes like an S tier leader in 2 months just because she perfectly counters the meta, and like that's how control leaders work. But for now, I would say she's more of a B tier leader.
Yeah, I agree. I think she is much better on average than Kallus. Her flip is also actually impactful, even though she is kinda understated for 7. Like, playing a takedown for free is a big deal. Uh, but I think she also lacks the same thing as Kallus. Like, the lack of really good top end. Even if you like control the board, then what? You play Lobbringer, which is like, it's an okay card, but it will not win you the game on its own.
I would say like there is enough top end. Like there is Persecutor, Devastator, Annihilator. Like I feel like there are enough of those, but like getting to that point is a little bit hard sometimes. And even if you get there, like the payoffs are solid, but they're not like instantly winning you the game.
Yeah, I think the cards like Snoke was uh, like easier to build around than like Lawbringer because it was a constant effect. At the same time, like Avenger was just card that if you slam it, it was really hard for your opponent to go back into the board. And even yeah, we have good top end cards. I just think they are not as good for control.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like pretty much everything like post rotation, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Okay, and now we have Jyn, and I know you are a really big fan of her, so I will give
Yeah,
this one to you.
I think Jin is good. Like, the her ability, like Jin just happens to be in a color that perfectly works with like this aggressive negotiations playstyle. You just draw cards with her, and to be fair, you don't even need to draw a lot, just because yeah, blue red is already good at drawing of like Chinophane, like the Red Squad on X-wings has some like they have like payoffs for drawing, so like Rey can be found, and like Rey can deal the damage once you draw her. Can be searched with Jyn ability. You have hammerheads, so there is a lot of payoff and obviously aggressive negotiations. So like all those things make Jyn quite solid in that type of shell. And there's like totally any leader that does this type of draw aggro type of playstyle better. So she's really good because of that. And in my eyes, she's S tier. And like as far as like my testing goes right now, I think she's the best. I know Beton has like a different take. There is another leader, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think she is. I think she will be a stable of an aggressive leader in this set. For me, she is the best aggressive negotiations or second best aggressive negotiation leader. But her deck is just extremely consistent. Uh, you will it will work almost every game in the same way. It's not an easy deck to counter because you always have a lot of answers. And even though the leader is a little bit understated, like if she draws into Rey, and it's not that impossible to do during the game, it swings it into the way that she is suddenly a really like leader that pushes a lot of damage. So even though like when I first saw her, she didn't look really well, just cards that we have now in the set perfectly pushes her into the aggressive shell that is, I think, really well positioned now.
Yeah, I feel like it's like mostly just like not many people were expecting that blue will be a color that can play aggro because like historically it's been a color that was the least aggressive out of all of them.
Yeah, yeah, and also like blue red especially got just really good statted units. You have like above average statted units on every single cost, which is really good for aggro because you can always push damage. Like you have 2/4, 3/5, 3/5, 5/6 on every single stat point. So it's really hard for your opponent, especially when the removal is kinda non-existent, to trade into you, because if you trade into Jyn, she will just push enough damage to kill you. And if you try to raise, aggressive negotiation is kinda a killer card when you have like 11 cards in hand.
You said that like she has like above average minions, but like you said like stat line like 2/4, 3/5, like that's the stat line that like most good decks can run. But yeah, I feel like it's like mostly like they have like good stat line and pretty solid abilities. Like Body Rook, like he has a good ability. Ezra, like with all the Spectre synergy with that deck, like all those units have good stat line and also pretty solid abilities. Like I feel like that's like what makes them good.
Yeah. Okay. And next we have, for me, the other set of the spectrum. So Val Centra. I tried. I tried with every single color, with every single possible like iteration. Either one drop aggro, go wide, big stats, counter to credits in every single possible way. I couldn't make her work. I think this is the leader that I had the least win rate out of every single one that we have on the set. And for me, it's just leader that I would personally completely avoid playing.
Yeah, like I don't have like any experience with Vel, so it's kind of hard for me to tell. But I can imagine that once like when like a good player plays against Vel, they kind of know how to like keep cards in a way where if she gives you credit, you can spend that credit immediately, so the opponent can, like the Vel player cannot like capitalize on like destroy credit type of units. And if she doesn't, then you just play your normal unit for the round. And like I feel like that's like her weakness because it's very hard to create credits, like create the experience and give the opponent credit in a way where they are unable to like spend that credit on something. Like it's very tough to pull that off. And there are some cool combos like giving Cinta experience so she has the Sentinel and such. Yeah. But I feel like the one credit that you give to your opponent is also a little bit problematic for the Vel, and the fact that she deploys on 6 is also another issue with that playstyle.
Yeah. And some people can say, yeah, you can play the cards that disable credits, like the 3 mana 2/4 that disable credits. And that's true, you can play them, but if you give that unit experience, he becomes a free drop without an ability. Like he becomes a vanilla 3/5, and your opponent will still have those credits, and if they kill that unit, now suddenly they will have like an incredibly powerful turn. So you will have games when it like works perfectly and it goes like, oh, 2-drop credit, 3-drop block credits, and they never kill it because you always go up. But it's so inconsistent that for me it's I would actually say for me this is the worst leader in this set.
Yeah, like when it comes to like this credit disabling effect on like that 2/4 minion in blue, like I think it's like I don't remember the name of the card, but it's like convoy escort type of guy. Yeah. But yeah, the problem is that yes, you can disable the credits, but credits don't lose a lot if they're spent later. Like obviously, like the later the opponent spends the credit, the better it is for you, but they'll still get that mana and those resources, and it's not like they're losing much value because you disable them. Like you lose a little bit, but you also played a 2/4 minion, so
yeah. That's
an issue.
Yeah, there is also one more thing, that every single credit interaction card is on free resources. So Gorn, Skrell, the one that disables one, the heroic blue one that just kills the credit, all of them are free. The only 2 exceptions are Jyn Erso that is on 4 and Tamarin that is on 5. But those cards are not that great even if they work. So Galen is still understated, and Tamarin is it's a good unit, but it's still a 5-drop that is just a bunch of stats and not. He doesn't really impact the board. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
the Tamaran guy, like he looked better at the first glance also, but yeah, like the fact that you need to have 2 units, like it's a lot of like quite a bit of setup, so he's a little bit weaker than he seemed. Like he's still a solid card, but he's not like bonkers or anything.
yeah. Okay, so next let's talk about Boba Fett.
Okay. Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, you can take that one.
Uh Boba. Boba is interesting. Like Boba is one of those leaders that if I had to like pick one leader that that has the highest potential of becoming better as we get more sets, like it would be this one. Just because right now we have already some bounty hunters, but I don't think there's enough to make him good. That's kind of the problem, like especially the 2 drops. Like
Yeah.
the playable bounty hunters on 2 mana, it's basically aura, and then there like 2 mana, 2/3 minions, like 1 drop, like there are no good tier 1 play bounty hunters. There are a few solid 3 drops, but it's still like not a lot. Like there is this 3 mana for 4 that the opponent can pay like a credit to take control of that guy, which is like solid. There is contracted hunter, but in deck like this, you don't necessarily want to like play contracted hunter just to kill something and get the credit, because like it's like your best scenario, but you still didn't develop the board. You got like 1 credit, but the contracted hunter has to trade equally for you to make like a profit of that exchange, because if you ambush him into a 3/5, the contracted hunter dies and you didn't got the credit, so you kind of need to like wait with your 2 cost to maybe kill the 3/5. Like it's a lot of setup, and there are also a bunch of like bad bounty hunters. Like there is like the 3 mana 3/4 Saboteur. I don't remember the name of the card, but it's like a mono villainy card from this set, and it's like okay, but there are just not enough bounty hunters. There are a few solid ones, but I think if we get more in the future, he might be good. But for now, I think he's just a B tier.
Yeah, I will completely agree. I think he's a little bit better than Saw and Aura, but uh, it needs more synergy to be really good. Zucus and Forlum,
For long.
the new combination they are actually quite good, but the deck, as you said, like I think it's the perfect way to say it. It just lacks early game that is consistent enough for you to like get advantage enough so you can actually use the credits in a meaningful way. Yeah, so for me, you can still build a deck that will perform quite okay, but at this moment, it's nothing that will like overrun the meta and be like unstoppable force.
Yeah. Well, like one more issue with Boba is the fact that like two more issues is Boba relies kind of the opponent playing units on the ground that you can trade into, because like there are no bounty hunters in space. So if the opponent is like going full space, then you cannot really get much value out of his ability, and there are gonna be space decks in the meta. So his ability is not really doing anything about like against those, and also against strategies that play very controlly, like maybe like non-unit like aura, or like just like kind of like blue-green villainy played in the past. Like there are gonna be maybe some strategies that can play in such a way, and it's gonna be really hard for Boba to actually trade with them and get enough benefit out of the fact that you are trading with them that you can like capitalize on to finish the game, because you still play probably him as a green-yellow, and I don't even know if there's like enough top end to beat like the more grindy decks, even if you like trade into them to create the tokens. Like it might not be enough just because they have like better late game by default, like the control decks.
Yeah, I also think because like right now I think the best way to build him is with yellow, and yellow it lacks the top end that you really want in an aggressive slighted deck. Like the unit I really lacked in the deck was like Devastator. Like has something that when I slam it 2 turns early, I actually pose a threat to finish the game. And green yellow doesn't really have as much of it, or to the same power level that red has, and red just doesn't have enough bounty hunters to build the deck. Okay, so next we have Palpatine at home. So director Krennic, and for me, he is just that. He's the worst version of Palpatine. He plays a really similar game. He also is a ramp leader that wants to slow the game to the point when he gets powerful flip and then play powerful units. But we got weaker units in top end. He has a weaker flip, and he doesn't get cards out of his ability. And combining all of them makes like he's a playable leader, but he's not as powerful as I want my ramp deck to be. At least the versions that I've built was they were always lacking like the inevitability of that Palpatine had. That when he flipped and he stole something, the game was almost over. When Krennic flips and even if he kills something, then then he doesn't do anything else. Like he doesn't have now he don't have like the on attack ability to do it again. He he just sits there and you hope that your opponent doesn't have anything to finish the game when you were clearly like losing on damage before his flip.
Yeah, like I am personally not a huge fan of like comparing Krennic to like Palpatine, like just comparing like new leaders to old leaders. Like there are comparisons like Landos is similar to Han and such, but just because there is rotation, like those leaders are not really comparable because they are not in the same format, unless you count
Yeah.
Eternal. But we are mostly talking about the post rotation environment. And when you compare like pretty much anything to Spark, it will always like kind of look bad. So I don't think it's fair for Krennic to be judged in such a way. But um, my issue with Krennic is mostly the fact that there are like things that benefit like that are like the cards that are like okay with being sacrificed, but like I don't know if they like give you enough of a payoff. Like there are porks which can be sacrificed for free. There are some when defeats like Owen, like Kijimi Patrollers, Onyx, but you are losing a lot of like board presence if you are sacrificing those units, and it might not be enough for you to for the Krennic to like make like enough out of those credits to make up for the fact that you're losing that board presence. So that's a little bit of an issue with Krennic. Um, you can do things like sacrifice every single round, snowball to like blast, and then play blast and control the board. But what then? And even if you like rely on such a strategy, what if the opponent is playing like upgrade like credit hate? Because the opponent that's like kind of my issue with Lando. Like we'll get to that, but they print like FFG printed like quite a lot of like good credit hate. Like Gorn is like an on attack, like he has like very powerful ability that is on attack, but there are things like skin that can destroy credits. There is like still the Tamaro guy, the 5 calls that destroys a credit for experience tokens. Like there is enough upgrade like credit hate to the point where I think if Krennic like becomes like a meta or like any credit leader that relies on them to execute their game plan, I think those cards like the credit hate cards will be just played the sideboard, and then they will not really be that dominant because yeah, the credit hate is quite strong. Like you put him like kind of in the lower lower ish tier of B. I'll probably put him higher. I think he's like still top of B, maybe like a low A tier. I think more of a B tier, but yeah, could be even A tier if you want to.
Yeah,
That's kind of
I
how I
think
feel about him.
I think he can stay NB. Uh, for me, uh, yeah, the comparison you are correct with the comparison to old set is not always accurate, but he plays a really similar playstyle for me, and even though everything is a little bit weaker, he is like comparison to everything being weaker, just even slightly more weaker than we were used to ramp leaders be. But still, you can do a really powerful lines if everything goes according to your way. And as for the upgrade hate, yes, uh, especially I think Skin is my personal favorite credit hate because not only does it on entering play, but also then constantly do it later. And the pinging to base or to units stacks up. So you're not only losing credit, you're also losing a lot of like HP in the process. So this is the like a big punish to every single credit leader, and especially leaders that really rely on credits for something like really big. And yeah, we will get to Lando when we get to him, but this is where he will suffer. But next we have a leader that a lot of people dismissed or said that he will be bad, and at this moment this is my favorite leader from the set, and a leader that I think is much more powerful than a lot of people expected. And for me, it can rival the best decks, and in my personal testing, it beats most of the top leaders now. So I would put Tobias in S tier. Uh, Even though his playstyle is really weird, he's one of the leaders that rely heavily on big synergies between the cards from new set. I think he's also the leader that plays the most amount of new cards because he utilizes three aspects, so you play a lot of double aspect cards in different colors. I paired him in with red because of aggressive negotiations, because his flip, if you do it correctly, you get credits. This is the one part that is good for you, but credits are actually not the thing that makes it powerful. What makes it powerful is the amount of cards you get, because if you get your opponent few units, you can suddenly like get 3 cards on flip, and then your aggressive negotiation becomes really scary. And also his like double aspect combination cards, so the 2/4 Sentinel that you can give to your opponent, or the Rio that can then bounce it and put it on your side with shield. So you can go like second turn, basically play nothing, get 2 credits, 4 resources, play Rio, get a Sentinel with shield, so your opponent will have a trouble getting through it. Then you can give it to your opponent again when he damages it, flip with Tobias on 5, and suddenly you have access to like 11 resources. And that turn can swing the game completely into your position. He also I think, he is by far the most powerful leader to utilize the 4/5 transport, the one that you can replay. I blanked the name now. The
Howler?
Yeah, the stolen howler. Because your opponent can almost never take it back, so you don't really have a like negative effect on the fact that your opponent can play it. And it's even a bonus because when you give it to your opponent and you kill it, you get it back. And they again cannot really play it even after you flip, because Rio can just steal it back with shield, or when you just go mass removal, and this deck can run up to 6 of mass removals, which is also really weird to have an aggressive deck that can clear the board really consistently. It just got up into the point that every single card in the deck just synergized so well with the other cards that it became a really consistent aggressive shell that at the same time is playing a little bit weird, because you are really not aggressive early, and then you flip the switch and you suddenly just start pushing like 10-15 damage a turn.
Okay. Yeah, so with Beckett, I'm gonna like rely heavily on you because I haven't played the deck myself. I have no idea how good it is. On paper, it doesn't seem that impressive to me. Like I see the Howler, the Rio package, but like if you hype him up so much, then maybe he's like S tier, maybe he's like better than Jyn or not. I don't know, but yeah, this one is I don't really know how to judge him, because yeah, he's really hard to build, and because of that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree that he's hard to build. I think the first build that worked was like a 12 iteration of it, but after I got to the point that I was really happy with how it performed, it was like a really stable. So this is a leader that I will definitely work more on, and a leader that I might even possibly play this set. But actually, we are also so early at the set that it can completely flip. But I am confident that this leader will see play and will make at least few really good performances. And now let's talk about the leaders that I think you got a little bit disappointed by.
Me? Why?
Yes. So,
No, I don't think so. Like, I think Hera was performing the way how I was expecting her to perform. Like, I think for some reason Hera is one of those leaders that like many people are like, yeah, I really like Hera because like people like this like tribal specter type of deck. But I don't think her ability is quite there. She's probably like C tier, like you like where you put her. Um, it is awesome if you manage to like line up all of the Spectre synergies to get like the extra like better effects, like bouncing 4 cost with Kanan, bouncing like dealing 5 with Zeb and such. But it is a lot of setup, and the opponent can interact with it if they want to destroy some of it. And if you don't have like enough units on the board, then Hera's ability will not work. So there is that part. And again, her ability is like not necessarily like again impacting the board. Like I know that units are better, that you play her with her, and I would say she's probably better than Kallus in like the regards of like having the better impact on the board. But the cards that she can play are like more limited. So yeah, again, like not super high on Hera. I feel like the Spectre cards and like all that package is not strong enough. It's definitely like way better than Hera was in like set 1 when like there was also like this tribal Spectre deck, but that Hera was completely unplayable. And this one's like at least a little bit better, but probably not quite there yet.
yeah, I will go even harder on her. I think having a leader that doesn't have an ability before and after flip is kinda hard. Uh, and yeah, you can play cards of aspect without paying the penalty, but you still are playing on curve. You are not like playing them cheaper, and that combination with the fact that you don't really get a benefit out of it, uh, she will heavily rely on the power of cards that we will get, and with the cards that we have now, I don't see her as being playable because if your opponent will just clear your units, then you can suddenly have hands like, oh, I cannot play anything because my ability is not active, and now I'm overpaying for units that are not really that amazing when you don't have synergy for them. So yeah,
I mean, yeah.
bottom of C
Like
series
saying
for
that
me.
he has like no ability, like I think that's a little bit too much because like you get benefit out of like playing those specters if you manage to get that like the play those specters with like their secondary effect. But yeah, it's quite a bit of setup, and I don't know if there's like enough of them like to like and make and like the payoffs are like that crazy good because like sure Zeb and Kanan are like solid, but like the extra benefit on like Sabine like destroying like any upgrades of like non-unique. I don't think like that's like significant enough. Like Ezra healing more is okay, but most of the time like units don't even have like a lot of damage on them. So like many times you will just not have that much healing out of it. Chopper is also like I think Chopper like gets like an experience or something like that, but it's like again not a ton of value.
Yeah, Chopper would be amazing, but he's not a turn one play. You need to play him later. I think Kanan is the biggest one. That bounce is really powerful, and Zeb is the two important ones. If we get more of them, maybe we will see her being played. But as I think you and for the part that I said that she doesn't have ability, I mean that uh, you do, like your ability is to play the units, and so you don't really have that big of an impact on the board. And she also flips as a kinda understated leader, which
I don't think you can call a 3/6 leader that heals for 1 understated at this point. Like I feel like 4/6 like is like kind of a premium stat line. And like how many? I don't feel like are there even like any 4/6 leaders? Like I know that there are raid leaders like the Boba like Sabe, but I don't think there's like even like any 4/6 leader that I like. At least I am blanking right now, and maybe there is like a leader like that. But I feel like 3/6 healing that heals 1. Like I don't think that's like necessarily understated with the current environment.
Yeah, I don't mean even understand it, but after flip, like she's a 3/6 that heals 1, and the rest of the text doesn't really matter.
There is Phasma. Phasma is a 4/6 4/5, but there are very few leaders that have like such a good stat line.
A client theoretically for something.
No, I don't count. I don't count client.
Okay, yeah, but I think we both agree that she like Hera is just not great. And then we also have another not great leader, which is Leia. Leia is actually better than I expected her to be, because I expected her to be completely unplayable. And she can pose some like powerful lines. When you combine her with the new base, play something of aspect, deploy her as like a 5/5 or 6/6, she can push damage to finish the game. Her ability, even though it costs 2, if it gives like +3/+3 or +4/+4, is actually meaningful, even though you will use it probably once a game. But even though like she can do something, all of those things, even combined with each other, are not amazing. So I would put her as a C tier leader. But for me, she's better than Hera and Kallus.
Yeah, like Leia, like the way how you can look at Leia is like her ability before like she flips, like it's awful. It's like if you get to once, like you will get like at most once probably in a game, and it might not even be that great of a value, because like getting +3/+3 for 2 resources like not like even a great payoff, and that's not even guaranteed, and it's really hard to get even more. Like the only like saving feature of Leia is the fact that if you have like a Kanan or like a unit that you play like of aspect with your base, and then you flip Leia with that unit already on the board, you can get some like high amount of experience, and maybe that can carry her because she still deploys on 5. But yeah, that's about it when it comes to what she can do. Also, like you are putting the experience tokens. It's not like she has like printed stat line like that. Like if she deploys like as a 5/5/6/6, like the +4/+4 or +3/+3 is like in form of experience, which can be still removed by like Feastletter Sprite and things like that. So it's also a little bit of a downside because of that.
Yeah, I agree. And so, what can you tell us about the new Vader? Because a lot of people got excited.
Yeah, like I feel like people got excited about Vader mostly when he was like spoiled, because like he was spoiled like quite early. Like he was like one of the first leaders, and back then we saw like that's a rock. I think that's the name of the card. Like when you discard, you deal 1 damage to something, and with Vader you basically deal 2. They showed like the Voltron like TIE Defender that like when you discard something during the round, he enters with shield, and it was like maybe if we get like more synergies for discard pay and like discard payoffs, maybe then Vader will work. And then I think we got 0. Like at least I don't remember any like synergies that make Vader good. And sure, you can do things like aggressive negotiations, discard your whole hand, and like swing for like God knows how much damage, but it's still probably not amazing. And there are other leaders that do it better. Look at S tier leaders. So there is that, and the fact that he deploys like super late, that's a problem. And there are just not enough things that make like some sort of like value out of being discarded, and like that's just like the problem of Vader.
Yeah, for me it's an aggressive slighted leader, with a number on the top left of his card that is just not supporting the aggressive playstyle. So when I saw like, oh, he deploys on 7 for aggressive leader, it's 2 turns after he should have finished the game. So he needs to play like a weird combination of like aggression, tempo, value that you will end up with an equal board on 7 and have like 5 cards in hand to just finish the game with a swing, and it's just incredibly hard to do. But
Yeah,
maybe if we in the future, if we get a powerful synergies, like I can see him being playable, but right now I would put him next to all the cute but not really playable leaders.
yeah. With Vader, I would say like he's like the definition of like teamy type of leader. So like he looks cool. You have some cool things that you can do with him. Like there is Max Rebo. I feel like if like I think Vader is probably like the best leader for Max Rebo because you will draw more cards. You get to his deploy faster. But yeah, I don't think it's enough. I don't like Rebo. I think he's not a good legendary. Like he has also like pretty good design. Like he looks awesome, but doesn't work that well in practice. And I think you are like even like too generous putting him in a C tier. I think you just don't. Like I think Val is better than Vader for sure. So there is that.
Okay,
Like
I
you might hate on Val, but I
will
think like he's definitely better than Vader.
I will put him below Val on your. I to be honest, I don't really care. It's a leader that for me is just I would probably see him never on the table because he's also probably unplayable in limited. So
You will see him. Like people like Vader. People just like character. So you might face off against someone who bans him.
Okay, and next we have a leader that a lot of people got excited about. And I think that excitement was a little bit over like hyped. Sebulba is a decent aggro leader, but he has the same problems as all the 4 deploy leaders that came before him that are not Sabine. So he's kinda easy to counter, uh, and he is also really straightforward in how he wants to play. So for me, it's just a good aggressive leader, but I don't think we have enough of a support for like his ability yet to make him anything better than a B tier.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say like it's necessarily like a fault of like his like not enough support for his ability to make it work. Like I feel like there is enough, but like I feel like it is like more of a problem with, in general, for cost deploy leaders. Like I think that same issue has like Dedra and such, that these very aggressive leaders that like deploy so fast and just want to go full face, I don't think there is like enough burn type of effects for those leaders to be able to close the game, because they can put you at like 10 HP, 5 HP or something like that. But there, like, because there is no for a cause, which Sabine was like heavily relying on, because there is no card like that, no even Daring Great. Like there is like, I think there is like a collateral damage. I think that's the name of the card, like with like some elks like jumping over like some tables. Like I think that deals some damage to the base, but there is like not really that much burn, and most of those 4 deploy leaders will just run out of the fuel before they get to kill the opponent in most games. And like that's, I feel like, the biggest problem with Sebulba, because I don't think the deck necessarily needs to like do those flashy like Sebulba Podracer. They can just go like BT 000 and just go face with that. But I feel like because there is like no reach type of effect, I think that's like the ultimate problem of Sebulba. And there are like 4 deploy leaders that can work, like Kazuda, but like, and like Vonrek, but it's because they are space leaders and they're just so much harder to interact. And the ground aggro, like Sebulba, like Sabine, like all those type of decks, they can be interacted in so much easier way. And that's like the problem of them currently, that they can be interacted with and they don't have anything to close the game after they lost the control over the board. I guess like they can shift towards space, but that's not even like closing the game, because the opponent can also just go space and or remove your units.
Yeah, I think also the problem is that we've got like aggressive units turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 resources we have nothing. That is like we don't have like units like Maul anymore.
Yeah, Ruthless Raider. I think the lack of Ruthless Raider is like the biggest one here.
So we have a big gap between like your last good aggressive unit to Devastator, and there is nothing in between.
Yeah, and I don't think Sebulba is the type of deck that can afford to play Devastator. And if you're running Devastator, if you're running like 8 cost capital ship, like that is like your burn, I don't think there is like much of a point in playing like a 4 deploy leader. Like you might as well just play something that deploys on 5 and just plays more, like still plays aggressively, but like deploys a little bit later and like still has some sort of like benefit out of like the fact that that leader deploys later because they have just better stat line. But yeah, like I would still probably put like Krennic above him. I think like Krennic is still better. Or like I feel like Krennic has like definitely like better potential. But yeah, I think B tier is like a good place for Sebulba to be in.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's go for the next one of the more interesting leaders spoiled. So Chewbacca, so leader that deploys that you need to pay for it. But he deploys like an overstated 5/6 with a decent ability. I think when I first saw him, I thought, yeah, it's completely unplayable. Then I thought, oh, maybe if you deploy him on second turn with like a credit, it can just be a really heavy aggressive deck. Tried it, it works like 20% of the time. Then I've played versus some like mid-range value Chewbaccas, and they were okay, but they were incredibly inconsistent. So I don't know. Maybe someone will break him with the decks I've built, with the ideas I had for him. He was okay, a little bit below aggressive decks, but maybe with like a perfect build, he can do something. But I would put him next to like Leia and Kallus in a C tier.
Yeah, like I feel like Sebulba like Chewbacca has like very similar problem to like Sebulba. Like it's again like 4 cost leader that just doesn't really have enough reach to close the game, and that's ultimately the biggest problem of the leader. And also like one of the things that like people might say, like sure, he deploys, like if you deploy him on 4, you deploy him and you have a overstat leader, but you spend your all of your resources on that. And if you deploy, let's say, like a Sebulba, and you play Unveiled Might on him for 4 resources, you get basically the same type of unit when it comes to stat line. And Unveiled Might is not like even a crazy card. Maybe it will be like solid after rotation, but it wasn't even something that great. And I just feel like that's not that great. Like his ability is actually quite solid. Like the fact that he can like destroy the resource and like deal the damage, like that actually helps with the aggro. But yeah, I don't see him. I would probably put him still above the Leia, but he is more of a C tier type of leader.
Yeah, I fully agree. Okay, let's go to the next one. What do you think about the Jabba?
Jabba is kind of hard to like judge, just because the biggest problem of Jabba is the fact that good underworld cards kind of rotated out. Like things like McClanky, like the Forlom, Zukus, like the OG Forlom and Zukus from the set 2, like Bazin, like all those like good underworld cards rotated out. There's still like a few, like Garindan, like there's like this new Cramp and such, but I don't feel like there's enough like cards that synergize with him. Like he's bouncing them back to your hand, so you kind of want to play like when play type of effects like Garindan, but I don't think there are like enough of them. He's like a 6 deploy leader that deploys as a 3/9, so he's like very slow. And yeah, like I don't feel like there are enough things to make Jabba work. Like the biggest issue is just like the lack of like good underworld units, and I feel like even like if you get like all the underworld synergies to work, I think it's still like weaker than like what Boba can do. Because like I didn't even check like how many underworld units we have, and I think it's maybe probably more than bounty hunters, but
There are
it's
quite a
like
lot,
even
but all of them are
yeah,
mediocre.
like quite a lot, but like how many of them are like good, and like how many of them are like cool with being bounced back to the hand? Like that's
Yeah.
the biggest issue with that.
Yeah.
So
So
so that's kind of the problem with Jabba. And like there is like this Sarlacc pit, there is like the Jabba Rancor, but I feel like it's like again like kind of like Disneyland type of deck that just doesn't like work in practice. So probably like just don't.
yeah, I will actually agree. I think if we had a problem with Krennic being a weaker version of an older leader, Jabba is a weaker version of Krennic. Because he has a really bad flip. I think his flip is one of the things that actually pushes him to the unplayable part, and his ability is kinda worthless because yeah, you need to pay one to get the credit, but you also loses a unit. Like more often than not, Krennic's ability is actually better because you can play above curve really easily with him. And with Jabba, you always will be playing on curve or below. And yeah, you can bounce Garindan. I think Garindan is the best one because constantly using Garindan is actually a really big value. But there's definitely not enough. I think
Yeah.
he would even need more than just bring back Maklanki, Forlum Zukus for the plus set. He would also need something above it to just like get value out of replaying the same unit multiple times. Maybe a unit that cares about being played multiple times or something like that. And then also after his flip, the fact that he gives ambush to something that you played with credit, that's a cool ability, but it's really slow because you need to deploy, your opponent can kill him, and then if your opponent didn't, now you can ambush. And we also lost a lot of cards that you want to ambush with. So the best ambush card, Maul, is a color that he cannot play. So it's
Yeah, yeah,
it's
that's another issue with him. But
it's
yeah, like there
kind
is
of hard.
also the problem that like if you try to pull off like some like good bounce value, like you try to like bounce Garina or like damage something and then bounce that underworld unit, like it can be played around and it can be countered. So like if the opponent knows that like you have the Jabba and you try to like bounce something back after you like attack with a unit, like the opponent can just kill that unit and like not allow you to get like the value, and like what I feel like is like another problem with Jabba, that he's pretty easy to counter in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I think one of the most boring leaders in the new set is the client. Uh, like he's a top leader. His top ability is actually kinda okay. Uh, like it's really easy to trigger it, but you will. The big issue with his ability is that you will never do it as a first action in the turn. So he would love to have something that says like a unit that you can immediately have another action that comes with a token. But since he doesn't, it's really hard to build around him. Uh, and yeah, he flips with a decent stats. 4/4 shielded is actually a decent amount of stats. Then he immediately, when he attacks, he always taps. So it's okay, but it's really hard to build around the leader that doesn't really do anything special. And you are forced to build to have a deck that have a lot of shields, experience tokens, or other like credits, but your benefit is not really amazing. So kind of big restriction with a mediocre payoff makes him like a mediocre leader. But just because of his stats and the fact that 4/4 shielded is actually kind of hard to remove, I would put him like in between B or C tier. I think he's better than most of C tiers. So I would probably put him in a B tier.
Yeah, like I think client is interesting. Like I feel like easiest tokens in general to get on the board are shielded units because they enter with the shield token. The problem with that is that right now, post rotation, the best shielded units are in green blue. So you cannot play like Lepi Lookouts, like the Han unit and such with this leader, like Cat Bane, because like they're all blue green. So like if client was green or blue, like maybe like in that point, like in that situation, like he would be actually interesting. But I feel like the fact that he's yellow kills this leader pretty hard, and you can like get like experience, like some other like tokens, but I think it's still like not a lot, and that's kind of the problem with him. And also with every single time with like his exhaust, like Django was so OP because he was able to like he was able to tap the whole board, but Django was at least able to like tap something as a first action. Client cannot do that. Like with client, you need to create the token first and then attack with him or like exhaust him as an action. So that's like I feel like his biggest problem, that opponent will always have the opportunity to attack with his unit first and before you can actually like tap his things. So the opponent can just like always swing with their biggest unit, and you're basically exhausting like the second biggest unit, which sounds a lot weaker than if you could like tap whatever you want. Like the deploy is solid, like five like deploying on 5 as a 4/4 shielded, like that's a solid deploy. Like Aiden from set 1 was like deploying as a 6 mana 4/4 shielded, so like there is that, but I just don't like the color combination, and that's kind of the problem. You put him in B, but for me he's a C tier. I don't think like I feel like the colors are just the biggest problem of client.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree. Like, for me, it was in between. If you want to put him in C, I fully agree. Okay, and then we have Enfys Nest. So let's talk about her because she's a leader that I think is one of the most built leader. At least this is what I saw while I'm testing, uh, and people love that doubling effects. And I think she has a really powerful flip. 3/7 is a really good stat line. Her ability being free after flip is a really good one. But there are two big issues. First one is the fact that before flip, paying 2 mana is a hefty price. But those can be like looked over if you have a really powerful effects. But the problem is we don't have powerful on attack effects. Like we lost all of them. So we are stuck with like I think the best card combining with her is still her helmet that gives +3 attack, and of course we can go into like the uh, wonderland of like bomber with aggressive negotiation, hit for 44 indirect damage, but uh, for me she is forced to play weaker units, rely on her ability, and if your opponent has any decent answer, she will just fall flat. But one thing that saves her is that a really, really powerful flip. 3/7 with a free ability is just good enough to put her above like everything in C tier. I would probably put her in like a middle of B tier just because her 5 resources is so powerful.
Yeah, like for me, it's really very hard to like give a good grade to a leader that has very weak like leader ability before she flips. Like before she flips, I don't think you like ever use the on-attack ability unless like you get some very specific scenario, or like you just like bricked and you don't have like any play for the round. Then sure, I guess you can use it. But
Masterpiece,
like,
I think, is the only card that you can. With yellow, you basically do it for free because you can untap 2 resources. But but
I mean,
yeah,
like you say that you untap 2, but like masterpiece like on its own would like untap 1. So it's like you pay 2 for untapping 1 more. So it's kind of like that, like
and
or
also
like
doubling the
masterpiece
other
can like
colors. Like I think if you can set up masterpiece, it can be a. I think it's the only one that I would probably use the ability. If you have like if you have like red yellow, you deal 2 damage. You don't really pay mana for it, so it's okay. Or you tap 2 resources of your opponent. That also can be powerful. But it's not only requires setup, it also requires a unit that is a 3/3 for free.
Yeah, like that's kind of the problem. Like I feel like also like there is like Ebon Hawk, which is like another like good on attack ability, but again it's a 3/3 minion, and if you as an Enfys player, like if your play for the round is like the masterpiece or like Ebon Hawk, and the opponent plays like a 3/4, and you have to play like the 3/3 and just trade down with it on the following round, that's a terrible situation, and that's kind of the problem with Enfys. After she dies, like when you're later in the game, maybe you can like afford, like maybe it's like more okay to afford to like use her ability because they at least get like better units. So like there is that. And like I think her helmet, I agree with that. That is probably like the best on attack ability that she has access to. So she's probably okay, but yeah, not great. So probably somewhere around the B tier.
Yeah.
I think maybe above Saw and Boba. Yeah, I think that's like the spot for her. Like Boba has like way more potential, but yeah, for now I think Enfys is gonna be higher than him.
Yeah. Okay, and now let's talk about the first ever bad Han Solo leader. So we got another Han Solo. Uh, in the past, Han Solo was always one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful leaders in the game. This one is not. I think this one is just really generic. He doesn't have any really big benefits. And right now, I would put him in the don't tier. He has a decent stat. There is just so many better leaders in his colors. Like Saber, for example, similar flip power, but just better ability. Uh, until we get a negative tokens. So tokens that, for example, like give -1/-1 to your own units, or like block you something, that you will get an actual benefit of his ability. I think until we get those, he will be an unplayable leader.
Yeah, like the problem with Han is the fact that like the ratio is just not great. Like destroying your tokens to deal 1 damage, that's not really great benefit, like great deal, because one resource, like the credit token or like whatever you have, like whatever like positive token that you have right now, I think they're like worth about like 1 resource, and like 1 damage is probably like worth around half of the resource, like more or less. Like the like counting it in such a way is kind of weird, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, like the ratio is just not great with him, and that's his problem. Sure, like if we get like some like negative tokens maybe, but yeah, like that's like if we get those, and like I don't think it's like I think it's way more likely that we'll get like some solid bounty hunters for Boba to make him good than like something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me he's just don't.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, we have Lando Calrissian, a leader that for me could be the most powerful leader in the game if we didn't get so many credit hate. His flip can be insane. He can play a Bo-Katan or Yoda on his flip on 6 resources. His ability is actually pretty easy to use. The deck destruction exists, but it's not like game breaking. You can build a powerful deck using him. And the decks are consistent, they are powerful, but at the same time, they are kinda easy to counter. I think this might be a leader that can be like, if people forget about him, you can suddenly build a deck and go to a tournament, win the big tournament with him. But if he becomes meta, if he becomes like the top dog, he will not stay top for a long time because it's too easy to counter him.
Yeah, like with like I am not super thrilled about Lando, to be honest. Like since he was released, like he's one of those leaders that went down in my ratings. I was like, yeah, he's gonna be probably one of the best leaders. Like he's still one of the best leaders, but I was like expecting him to be kind of S tier type of leader. Now he's like more of an A tier, and that's I think where he should be. My kind of problem with him is like, how do you build him? Because I've seen like already like 3 builds, like we've bet on, like we've built him like as a mono heroic, mono blue, like mostly yellow to like with beaks as a primary credit creation and to like make Anakin do -6/-6, and like for me all of those builds were like okay, but they were not like busted, which kind of what I'm expecting from the S tier. Like Jyn swinging for like 12, 13 with aggressive negotiations, and that's kind of my thing with Lando. Like you can do things like Bo-Katan and such on his flip turn, and those are like great, but yeah, like I don't know if it's this enough basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was a leader I was most excited when I first saw him. It was the first leader I built around. The decks are fun. The decks are cool to play. You can do like the teamy stuff of like, oh, I'm going to slam my Bo-Katan 3 turns earlier than I should, but at the same time you also have games when it didn't work. When you use the ability, you get the token, your opponent plays skin, destroyed the token, and you had a dead turn on flip. So yeah, for me he's too easy to counter to be S tier leader, and I totally agree. Even though it makes me a little bit sad, I think A tier is a spot for him.
Yeah, like I can see where we are, maybe we or me are hating on credit, like these credit oriented leaders like Krennic and Lando, because yeah, like if no one's playing them, then people will just not play the credit hate in the sideboard, and then they can shine. But yeah, like it's tough to imagine meta where they're top dogs and like the credit hate is not enough to stop them from being dominant.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, and so this is all the leaders. So this will definitely change the more we play the meta. When the meta develops, maybe some of the worst leaders that we encounter will become the best one. But especially because we now have rotation, the game changed a lot. So this tier list was one of the hardest to make because the game changed the biggest amount. But I feel confident in most of it because we actually tested a lot. We built a lot of decks, and on our Patreon, almost every single leader here have at least one deck list already, and some of them, like Krennic, has 4 of them. And
like already maybe 5. I don't know.
it's similar with Lando. And every single day I try something new. I discover that, oh, I thought that card is awful, and it's suddenly amazing. Or, oh, I didn't even know they spoiled that card because it was in the last bunch of cards, and it completely changes a matchup that I was afraid of. So we are in the, like, for me, the moment of the game that I'm the most excited about, when I can test it a lot. The game constantly changes, and I'm really happy that we have a community on our Patreon on Enigma server to just bounce ideas off, think of new broken things, and just try to break the meta and like be ready for the next competitive events.
All right, yeah. So as always, thanks to all of our patrons, and yeah, I think that's it for today. Unless you have something else to say.
No. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, racers.